Always good to beat Surrey.
Let's just cram 8 days of cricket into 2 weeks.
Bit cringe, but I am a big fan of the show.
He's never even eaten a croissant, let alone got an apartment in France.
I've got a smile.
Wily. He's a wily old customer, this bloke Smith. Hello and welcome to Under the Lid, the Pro Cricket Show with me, Jack Brooks.
And me, Katherine Sciver-Brunt. You've been doing some cricket, winning, losing?
Played my final league game of the year. My team, we've won our last 4 games. We ended up finishing sort of mid-table, having been staring at relegation most of the season. So I dropped to Dolly, got out first ball, took a couple of wickets. I'm probably never going to play cricket again. So great, yeah. Cheers, Banbury. It's been a great year. It's been a nice finish to my competitive cricket career, if you like, outside of the pro game particularly. But my body hurts. I don't train as much as I should. I've got another kid on the way. I've got a lot of coaching to do. So I feel like my playing days, my boots might well be hung up on that hook now.
It's funny how quickly life comes at you. Once the training sort of weans off a bit, it really is.
That's the first thing, Brunty.
Really hits you.
Really competitive, probably like you are. And, you know, when you're quite capable and think you're pretty good and consistent, but then as soon as you stop training and you let off physically with the day-to-day living the life, if you like, I got a lot of stick on Saturday for the dolly and just my general in the field. And the game's left you, Brooks. Give it up. It was funny, but no,
you don't want that.
But it's funny.
It's surprising how much the training does what it does for you. Like it really, I feel like a different being now.
Yeah, I feel like a long time ago that I was a decent professional cricketer, to be honest. Anyway, let's move on to a current good professional cricketer who can maybe tell it all about his fresh 37-year-old body, I think he is. Should we get in this week's guest? Tom Smith from Gloucestershire. Tom Smith.
Hey.
Here he is.
Hiya. Thanks for having me on.
Excellent to see
Welcome.
you, mate. How are you, bud? Where are you?
I'm good. I'm really good, actually. Yeah, I'm just here opposite Lords. The Gloucesters have just finished up day 1 of our county championship match versus Middlesex. So rushed back to the hotel to come on the pod. Bit cringe, but I am a big fan of the show.
Did you listen to it,
I've listened to most of your podcast, so well done. It's good.
Excellent. Well, thanks very much for coming on. Long time listener, first time caller, if you like. You know the format, which is great, and we're going to have a lovely little hour with you, hopefully, mate. Were you a fan of the introduction? I tried to big you up as much as I could.
Yeah, no, very kind, very kind. Summed me up pretty well there, I think.
I'm trying to think.
We'll have to get some.
When we last played, when we first played again, I remember playing against you when I was in Northants 2s. You were a Sussex 2s at the time in 2009.
Yeah, that's incredible memory. I remember you playing.
Memorable.
But yeah, you must have been in like first few years where you.
Yeah, it was my first year on the staff. So you'd been around. You were like probably a senior, probably been around for years by then. But I was obviously late to the game, wasn't I? But I do remember playing at Hove. You and Ollie Rayner. I remember batting together, and you both gone on to be decent cricketers and people that I've got to know quite well over the years. So yeah, it was just a bit a random thought of when we first played against each other. I don't keep a memory of all those sorts of games, but I just remembered that one for some reason.
I'll just leave you two to it. This is just getting the memes out now.
You fire it away. You're getting Brunty.
Don't you worry. I'll fire away. Well, we can't really start without asking you firstly about the Vitality Blast quarter-final against the Birmingham Bears last week. How did you pull that off? Because, I mean, to be fair, they were top of their group. So it was a hard opponent, but a good win. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I think it was interesting going into it because it was always going to be about the Bears, playing home game. They won their group. We just snuck through because Hampshire beat Essex. So it was like we snuck through the back door. They'd played all the cricket going into it. And we unfortunately didn't have our second overseas, Bo Webster, because he'd gone back to Australia. So I guess we were slight underdogs, but we like being that way, I think, at Gloucester. And that's often our way. And Yeah, I think we felt confident. Obviously, then after that first half, it was a bit of a disaster with the bat in those sort of middle overs. And then we were sort of, I don't know, we just got in the huddle and we were like, we know sort of that top 5 for them had got most of their runs in the tournament. And we have a good power play, like David Payne and Matt Taylor. Josh Shaw had bowled brilliantly in that power play throughout the tournament. So we felt we could have them 2 or 3 down and then we just work from there.
Yeah.
And getting Moeen massive in that power play, obviously with Alex Davies, and don't know, just try to keep it simple. Really, I don't think we tried too much. We just kept trying to take wickets, simple game plan, and just chipped away at it. And then it suddenly looked up at the board and it was like 8-10 and over out of nowhere, having been they were cruising. So we probably didn't really consider that we were going to win it till right towards the last few overs. So it was incredible evening. And then there was loads of Gloucester fans who were going mental in the Hollies. So like it was an amazing evening.
Yeah, it's good to have a good turnout, isn't it? It's crucial. Even though they travel some distance, that's a decent turnout. It's never disappointing at Edgbaston, really. Wherever I've played there, it's been great, no matter what the game. I've felt like in a lot of a quarter-final, semi-final, final, they're all big pressure games. And this year, for some reason, the games I've watched, it seems that scores on the runs on the board have actually been a bit of a key to winning. So I never thought you were out of it, even though you thought you had a bit of a wobble. But when did you feel throughout the bowling performance? When did you think you were going to win?
It's tricky because when Hayne and Benjamin were in, like you knew that they could finish the innings well. There was a tiny side with a big wind going into the small edge, and just thought any one of us could go for 20. And I think like when I finished my spell, I thought, oh, thank God it wasn't me that went for 20. And then it sort of went to Ollie Price, the other end, and he got through his over that didn't go for 20. And then the rate was quite high and we had to bowl seam at the end, which I thought, like should be okay here. Got skilled death bowlers. Josh Shaw got 2 wickets in that over. And that was probably where I thought, we've done this, because I knew David Payne at the end, like he's a class act, experienced guy. Left arm angle going across them into the long edge. There've been a couple of big shots to get it to the short side. So probably that Josh Shaw over swung it for us.
And I think the last time I played Edgbaston that had a 40-metre boundary on one side only, it was a county game, Yorkshire Central Sparks, whatever you call it, Birmingham. Let's be real. And there was one boundary scored from their side on that short side. So it can really mess you up, can't it? And you can almost take 6 wickets just people trying to do it. So no, you've done well. I'm glad you did. You had tidy figures in the end. Maybe not got the wickets you wanted, but don't matter. Like economy's worth a couple in the bag, innit, Jack?
Wily. He's a wily old customer, this bloke Smith. Been doing it for years. He's in the. I can't remember which number you are. I did see it this week. You're in the top 10 all-time with wicket takers for the Blast, don't you? You'd know exactly which number you are, won't you?
Yeah, well, I do know. Yeah, I'm 5th.
There we go.
But Haney's now just taken over me, which was really annoying because it was always my thing. I had more than him, and then I missed most of this tournament due to a back injury. So he had 10 extra games, so he caught up, and now he's ahead. Frustrating because I liked having that.
That's where the wickets have gone. To be fair, I like it when people know those things. It's not a fair playing field, is it? Really? Let's be honest. What about the season for the team? You've had some pretty great wins and a dramatic tie in there. What's been your favourite moment of the season?
Yeah, because I've had a split tournament really. So I have a role as a player coach, generally play in the white ball and then coach in the red ball. But I herniated a disc in my back just before the tournament started. So I missed the majority of the Blast, actually. I only came in for the last 3 games. So I was coaching the start of the tournament, which was quite nice. So it was nice to, obviously the one at Hove, they lost off the last ball. There was the tie at Surrey. They got through all sorts of random situations throughout they had the tie in the 4-day game as well, which was ridiculous. So it felt like we've seen some, we've been in pressure moments, we've seen them, and that sort of just put them in good stead for, these moments going into possibly finals day. But Yeah, I think the Surrey tie was great in front of a big crowd at the Oval. Yeah, that was
Always good to beat Surrey.
2 wins in the side of Derby as well. Like that was good to beat Somerset. So
I was going to say
Nice.
it might be your year just because you beat Somerset twice. Doesn't happen very often, does it?
no, it could be Gloucester Somerset final. That'd be nice.
Well, I was going to say
Side final.
I'm at Surrey these days, mate, coaching, but so I'm fairly in that camp now. But nostalgic and the derby, the Gloucester Somerset final would be quite good fun to watch, wouldn't it? Especially for the crowd.
Oh, they'll turn out. Don't you worry about that.
That frozen chicken would be in the crowd somewhere, wouldn't it?
God, yeah.
Yeah, finals day, mate. Coming on to it. How many times have you been before? Obviously, 2020 when Gloucester got there. Slightly different feel. COVID, no fans. Got no fans. You must have been before with Sussex. Not sure you've been.
When was Sussex? Yeah, Sussex in 2009. When we beat Somerset. I wasn't in the squad. I didn't play any in the tournament, but I was there cheering in the stands.
So was I. I was getting lashed in the crowd as well, mate. The North fans.
That's a great experience to experience Sussex winning that, and then knowing how much fun the day was, and then going to Middlesex. I don't think we got through to a quarter final in the time I was there, and then Gloucestershire, we had a number of years getting to the quarterfinals, but not quite getting over the line. And then had 2020, which was bizarre in front of no one. And then playing on a reserve day as well. So the first day was washed out. It was like October the 4th. We were playing the finals day. It was pretty cold and wet. And a lot of the lads who are involved in that campaign were like, look, we can't have that as our experience of finals day. Like we all tune in every year and watch it and see how incredible it is. So there's a few of us that are involved in that 2020 to now be going to finals day on Saturday, about to get the full experience, which would be great.
Yeah, I was going to say, mate, what does it mean to not only the club and the players that are there? Because I know you're a really tight group and you've been together for a long time. And there's obviously been a lot going on off field for Gloucester for a few years as well. But what does it mean to the boys and to you personally, being now the back end, not retiring you, back end of your career, and getting to finals day, which is obviously such a massive showpiece event?
Yeah, I guess we all know that these days are so important, and we know when we get to the end of your career that they're very special and they're not easy to come by. Like I feel quite fortunate that we won that in 2015, won the 50 over cup, which was an incredible experience, and then it's been a while since we've even had a chance. So it's going to be a really exciting day. The team's so chuffed, like coming off the field, knowing that we've got like this week at Lords. So it's an ideal prep, having a 4-dayer at Lords, having the lovely lunches, and then going to
it'd be a lot heavier.
Having a nice prep week here at Lords and then playing Saturday. And I just feel like the pressure's off a bit. Like a lot of it is about getting there. We've got to get to finals day. And then coming against Sussex, obviously an all-South final. We're very familiar with the sides that are in the final, played them for years and years. So we know the players, we know a lot about them, played them twice in the group, should have beaten them in Hove, comfortably beat us when they came to Bristol. So, 1-1 going into the third round. I
was going to say that you've got the extra incentive that they're an old club of yours and actually your first club, aren't you? Are you a Sussex boy at heart?
Yeah, Sussex. I mean, I'd say as a Sussex supporter, I probably don't want to say that too loud, but I've got memories of going to the county ground as like a 5-year-old with my dad sitting in the deck chairs. Like the ground means a lot to me. Spent many years there. A lot of the sort of hero players there, still my idols now. A lot of those have come on. Like someone like Michael Yardy, still my mentor now. He was my captain when I was there. So very special. Be lovely to beat them and get to the final. But they're certainly a very special club to me.
I was going to say, you were just talking about Yards then, and he did a little bit with the England women when I was still playing. I really, really enjoyed his company and his, his coaching and mentoring and just everything about him was great. So he was just thinking he must have been great to play with. I'm glad to hear that he's amongst it.
Owned him this year, so he's the England under-19 coach, but the Gloucesters actually got him in for a sort of consultancy role at the start of the year because he didn't have much on. So it's good to have him around the group. And actually, a lot of the young batters got a huge amount from him. So it was nice to have him in the black and yellow. Yeah.
Yeah, good. And get some Sussex insight as well. In between the quarterfinal and your finals day coming up, some of your teammates are also in the county championship action, as you just said this week. And can you explain for our listeners how hard it is to jump between the formats, going from a 4-day to a T20? And obviously, me and Jack have got our own experience, but what's your take on it?
I think it's tricky because I sort of slipped back into a bit of a coaching role. So I'm sort of back on the stick trying to prepare them, working hard in the nets. It is a challenge. I think the one nice thing is this is a Kookaburra ball round. So, as we know, it doesn't do as much as the Duke. So the lads have been playing a block of, Metro Bank cricket with the Kookaburra ball, which has fairly similar skills to some of the red ball cricket that we play. So the guys were good. We had a training day yesterday where they all had a good hit on grass, just sort of tuning up their 4-day stuff. The Seamers actually had a day off, just because they've had a lot of load, and we're, as many counties this time of year are down to the bare 11. So
if they've made it.
Yeah, so it's a tricky time. So they had an easier day, and then it was just mainly just talking through couple of different things with the ground, like, as we know, slope wicket, short one side. So just firming up a bit of plans, bit of tactics for Middlesex. Pretty calm, really. I think there's a lot going on with everyone's head around finals day, the emotion of Friday night, and they're just trying to keep people a bit calm and relaxed before this game. And probably had a fairly even day today, actually. They got 370, we got 10 wickets, so they got a few too many on the wicket, but I think we're happy that we're having a bat tomorrow morning.
Yeah, you take that. Let's hope it's a hot,
I was going to say, if the
sunny
sun
day
comes out, you'll be fine, mate.
I think we're due it now. I've had a couple of miseries. We're due one. Let's talk about the schedule and scheduling, because it's our favourite topic on here. Your teammate, Miles Hammond, for those that don't know, did a really powerful video, didn't he? Video diary on the demands of the current cricket schedule. And we've got, a lot of players' take on this. I know you only play white ball cricket now, but has it been demanding for yourself, this season? Or if not, do you have any grumblings in the dressing room you can share on how it's been?
I think there's always grumblings. That particular incident was we played Thursday night away, wherever it was. Then we played Thursday night at home, played Friday night away at Cardiff. So the lads got back from Cardiff. Then they had to get a bus to Scarborough to then play a 4-dayer on the Sunday. So
that's minging.
6 and 7. Ridiculous. Like, it's not okay.
No.
We don't have a big enough squad where we can rest people, really. Like, you just got to pick your best side. In that scenario, they're pushed to the limits. Thankfully, everyone did actually come back fit and well, but it's an injury or two waiting to happen in that scenario. I think for the white ball players, there's no real grumbling. The way they set the blast up, where they were sort of at the end of the week, you had nothing, then you play Friday, Sunday. Like, there was plenty of time to recover. There was plenty of time to prepare. But the multi-format players just, have a real tough time. And actually, I think you talked on one of them, Brooksy, about the Metro Bank. I mean, that was a joke as well.
Let's just cram get 8 days of cricket into 2 weeks.
We're everywhere. We're up at Notts, then we were back down playing, and then we were off to London. Like, it was too much. And the 100 players go, and you're down to 14 players to cover, like 8 games of cricket in whatever 16 days. It wasn't right. It's not high performance. People are just trying to get through the day without getting injured, which isn't ideal.
Yeah, and I think you've obviously touched on it being more of a like injury prone situation, but there's so much to it, isn't there? Like it's the mental well-being, the traveling you do, like living out of a suitcase, like the fatigue pouring on from both mental and physical, but also not being around your family and being a normal human, like not having the time. So when you want to go do something, you don't feel like you got the energy to go do it. And then it's just that hamster wheel of just doing cricket. That's used to how it felt to me. That used to really get to me. I don't know what your side of all those bits is. Where do you struggle the most with all those?
I think it is tough. I think also like just physical. It's like playing with injuries or whatever, and you're in a coach, and then you're straight back out there, and then you get home and you haven't had any sleep because you get back late, and it is a real challenge to schedule. I don't know what the solutions are. Obviously, it's to play less cricket, but then if that has financial implications, at Gloucester, we're a small club that need the money.
Yeah.
We can't afford to do that. So if it's a thing that we have to play to keep the business afloat, like that's all we have to do.
Just flog yourself for some cash. Honestly, do you know what? I've actually made a lot of my decisions based on that too. Like I would play tournaments really injured. Like I've had 3 herniated discs and 2 operations, nearly 3 operations. And I've put myself through, like, maybe, when you get drop foot and you're talking paralysis and loss of being able to use your bowels. Like, I've taken it to the limit before, and knowingly, but not told, because you don't want to lose your place, and you've got financial implications. Got a mortgage now, blah, blah, blah. It's isn't it? But as you say, like a lot of people actually listening won't think about that, keeping the club afloat, and to keep the money coming in, you need all your best players playing. How do you keep them fit all year round? Who knows?
You're not going to keep the supporters happy, then, are you? Because if you're resting your big names or they're injured, they're like, well, why are we watching trialists and academy lads and all this? Well, what do you expect when you're trying to play almost every day of the year, or at least like cramming in a lot into a short space of time and then nothing for no reason? It's interesting that you've both gone through the similar sort of injury there, with potential for down the line, how it could affect you in 10, 15, 20 years or more. Is it because you really love the game, or is there a slight bit of fear that you've got no other choice to put yourself through that? Like, because I've had some injuries, but probably not to the extent of that, when you're getting told that, there's certain things that could happen later in life or soon if you carry on like this. Like, is it just I've got nothing else to do, or is it I love this and I just want to keep doing it and risk it?
Come on, Tom.
Is that to me?
You, Smithy, first, because you're our guest.
Me. Well, I was lucky. I wasn't lucky. Obviously, it hurt, and I was out for 7 weeks. But I feel like it was, I was basically coaching with a lot of pain, but because I was just coaching, it didn't affect performance. I wasn't really thinking about playing. And then when it got to playing, I was like, oh well, I was actually in the garden, which was awful. I was just in the garden with the kids, like playing around, and they're just like stabbing pain in my back. It was probably a build up of all the other stuff that I was doing. It's given me a good perspective, because you got to manage your injuries better. I was prioritizing everyone else, like working as a coach. We're understaffed as it is, as coaches, and just trying to help everyone out. And by prioritizing everyone else's cricket and needs, then lost 7 weeks, lost most of the Blast. So, it was good learning, and probably something that I need to manage a bit better as long as I'm playing. But I guess it's hard to do that, isn't it? It's hard to say, no, I'm not slinging to you, young pro. Go and find someone else.
Yeah, because you want to be like, there's nothing wrong with me. I'm fine. Like it's only a small thing. Watch this. I'll sling at you for 2 hours. Yeah, mad, like hard worker, competitive, resilient. I'm sure we've got all the same. I kind of need them to be a cricketer these days. So, yeah. Did you get all the sciatica and everything with it?
Yeah, so I had it down. Yeah, my left leg. It was in my left leg, and then it was in my calf. And it felt like I'd pulled my calf, and obviously it wasn't. I couldn't move. But I mean, I guess it shows how privileged we are as sports people. It obviously all happened, and had a scan within 12 hours. I was then down to London within 24 hours to see the specialist. I was then within 48 hours having a spinal jab, and then I was suddenly sciatica free within 3 days. And then obviously then it's the period of rest and rehab. But, that I meet so many people with disc issues that are like, it's been going on for 12 months and I can't get the support I need. And so I keep quiet in that.
Yeah, you should have told me that. I'm absolutely fuming now. For 9 solid weeks, I had that just constantly down my leg. Constantly. Like to the point where I've got a numb calf and part of my foot forever. It's just the nerves got so damaged.
Things you do,
but I've had about 12 of those jabs over my career. I might even be more, all different ones. I'm really looking forward to being pregnant.
I reckon it'll be easy compared to what you've been through already.
Do you reckon that might be constant as well?
You're used to certain pain and everything, aren't you? So, well, I can't really comment too much because I haven't been through childbirth or carrying a baby, but yeah.
I'm sure you got the hand squeeze though, and you felt every.
Oh yeah. And I've copped it. I've copped it verbally for months as well, which I'm sure Smithy's had his fair share of as well. What I wanted to talk to you about, Smithy, before we move on to more pressing and deeper issues, was we were both coaching at Western Storm a couple of winters ago when we were making our way into the future. And we both got kindly brought into the environment by Trevor Griffin, who's head coach. And obviously now I think Brunty on the show. She's been a big player in the women's game for a long time. I was just getting your opinion on the women's game. Were you still with them this winter as well? Just because I was with Sparks this winter.
Yeah, so I did this winter. I was hoping to a bit more in the summer, but just with the stuff that happens with Gloucester, I've ended up being a bit more full-time coaching there. But yeah, I mean, I feel very honoured that I've worked with Chloe Skelton and Soph Smale quite a lot now for the last 2 years. Done a lot with them, and great to see them doing so well. Obviously, Chloe got a fifer in the last round of fixtures, and then Soph's been obviously great in the 100 and in domestic cricket. So nice to play a part in their journey. Obviously, extremely sad that they've gone to Somerset. I was actually part of the Gloucester team that pitched at Lords for Tier 1 status, but we didn't quite get over the line, which was really sad because we love having them at Bristol. They were training the majority, doing the most of their stuff at Bristol now. So
it's not the end though, is it?
No, it's not the end. Obviously, they're moving to Somerset, and yeah,
I mean for Gloucester, there's two more teams to enroll.
Yeah, we're building for 2029 now, aren't we? Really, like those 2 extra teams that will be added. So we'll be trying to get everything in order. Is it 2028? Yeah. So we'll be trying to get our stuff in order to be part of that, which would be great. So yeah, I've absolutely loved the women's game. I was actually very fortunate. John Lewis invited me to do a bit of stuff with the England women last summer in the Sri Lanka series. I did a day at Derby, and then I did some stuff in the winter when they were preparing to go to India and Oman. So yeah, it's nice to meet all the stars. I'm a bit starstruck. Like I took the Mick Eccleston, like world's best. It was good to see him bowl. I mean, that trio of spinners are incredible, aren't they? Sarah Glenn, Charlie Dean, and Eccleston. Like they're a joy to watch. It just makes spin bowling interesting. It's no different to the men's game, isn't it? When you get a great like Warne, everyone wants to bowl like Warne. The women's game have got the 3 best spinners in the world. And you get to, you inspire a new generation, don't you? Like I've got 3 girls, 2 of them are playing currently, and that's what they absorb. They watch them on TV and like they want to be them.
Any left armers?
No, they're all right armers. It's interesting, isn't it? Like the girls, so Rosie, my eldest, like really drawn to like, the beauty of women's cricket. So it's Lauren Bell and Sarah Glenn and like all the wet earrings, and they colour their nails. Danny Gibson, Western Storm, like that's the things. They came to Western Storm training and they're like, Gibbo's got her nails painted and she's got her earrings on and she's wearing makeup. I'm like, yeah, like it's no different to us. Like we get a haircut before we play or whatever. Like, It's no different. But that's what they like, and that's what's inspired them. She's got Heather Knight's autograph on her bat. So, yeah, we love it.
Love it.
That's wicked,
Good
mate.
question, Jack.
No, well, yeah, I had to bring it up because I really enjoyed my time with them. Really enjoyed it, and it made me really want to pursue coaching full time. And I've been quite lucky to have worked with a couple of the women's teams, and then now at Surrey Men, but still having had opportunities this summer to have worked in the women's game as well. It's still something that I'll look to get back to at some point, I think. Now moving on to a slightly heavier subject, mate, which you're not going to be. Well, you're used to talking about it now, I guess, but it's still not going to be easy. But now you've been a beneficiary of the trust, and they supported you through a really tough time in recent years when you lost your late wife, Laura, who is the mother of your two eldest daughters, who you just mentioned then. Now, could you tell us a little bit about what the trust is and how they've helped support you through the whole process, not just during, but post as well, the Cricketers Trust, that is?
Yeah, so when Laura got ill, when Clara was born, we sort of knew it was quite, I don't know, it's quite rare, and we needed to get some more specialist support. So, I mean, I say this all the time and talk about the PCA Trust, but it's like, I just thought it was like, motor scooters for old cricketers. Like, I didn't really understand what the trust did, what it was about. And I remember Mark Wallace was our PDM at the time, and he just said, look, what do you need support with? What's going on? And I was like, I don't really know what we need. And what we worked out is we were going to go to London for this meeting with a specialist doctor. They paid for that. Then when things developed, things got worse, and Laura was spending a lot more time in hospital. And I was still continuing to play, but also go and see her in hospital. She was in London. Obviously, I was in Bristol. They paid for a nanny at that point and just allowed me to, because Clara and Rosie are 1 and 3 at the time. So, they were very young, trying to balance my time between still having to play, well, not having to play, but still playing a little bit because Laura wanted normality for the girls. Managing Laura's care in London when she came home. So they all supported that. And then obviously post-bereavement, they were just constantly there for whatever I needed. They continued to pay for nursery costs and nanny fees, because I would go on and talk about it, like the critical health stuff. Like, I would say I was fairly switched on with understanding to be prepared for these sorts of situations, but you just never really consider that it's going to be you, and then suddenly it is you, and you're not as prepared as you once thought. So yeah, they really did help me out. I was really stuck when it did happen because, I probably was erring towards the side of retirement, being like, if I'm a stay-at-home dad, get a 9 to 3 job that fits in with like childcare, and I can be there for them. Cricket really isn't that. And then actually, PCA gave me options, gave me choices, which I didn't think I had, and I wouldn't have had without the PCA. And they just, looked after me in those first couple of years, got me on my feet. And then just sort of gone on from there, really. Like, still try and support the trust in anything I can possibly do, and try and educate people around bereavement, critical health covers, life covers, whatever. Just having an eye on it could be you, and hopefully it isn't, but at least you knew you were well covered.
Yeah, 100%, mate. It's so good that you've helped set this critical cover up as well. What how comforting during the whole process was it, knowing that you've got people there ready to step in and help you whenever you needed it at your time of need? It's
hard because I don't know, I don't take help too easily. I'm just like, I'll do it, but I really couldn't do it at that point. I'm either retiring or is there another way? And they were brilliant. I mean, even things like Mark Wallace came to the hospital to meet Laura and to meet some of it was my family was there, but it wasn't like standoffish, being a bit awkward around the situation. Like, he was incredible. He was a great person during that period of time, and everyone at the PCA, like, everyone just wanted to help, which is so lovely. And then again, I'm probably the same now. If anyone falls on tricky times, like, I'm more than happy to go and see them and speak to them. And that's what's important about this podcast, is just maybe if there is the odd cricketer out there that's not really sure about what it does, like, it really can support them in not just this situation, but many other situations.
Yeah, 100%. I know they've done a lot of really good stuff recently for other cricketers of the past. Like Steve James, Sean Udall, Andy Patterson, all recently have been able to use Cricketers Trust. I know it's done fantastic work for those guys. There must be so many out there who are hopefully using it. And if you're not and you feel like you do, or you're really on hard times with something, then please do reach out, because it's fantastic. And they're only there to help. They're only there to help. Which I'm sure, Brunty, if you tapped into it before, and you would have sort of encouraged teammates or people to have used it as well around your England time as well.
Yeah, I struggled with a lot of mental health when I was a lot younger, and no one will know that, so there you go. And I honestly don't know if this came from the PCA, because I didn't really know about it then. It probably, I don't know, there was a form of it through the ECB, and I tapped into some clinical psychology through that. And as everyone knows, if they've tried, it's cost a fortune. And as female cricketers, we've only been paid decent for a few years, so it wasn't an option to go and pay for that stuff. And I come from a very old school background, so it's more like, just get on with it. What's your problem? Like, suffering's not a thing. Like, people go to war. Do you know what I mean? So it was hard to get there in the first place. So I'm glad, people not forced me into, but encouraged. But yeah, I went through about 6 months to a year of that solid, and that would have cost a fortune, and no way being within my grasp. And I played another 10 years after that, feeling a lot better, not only about myself, but my future, and, how that would look where I couldn't see it before. So I've made full use of that within my career, and it can be all sorts of different paths. I've talked about mental health there. I guess I can't even imagine what it would be like to be in your position, Tom. Just thinking about it makes me feel a bit, emotional. Sorry. Who was there for you? Who was there for you during your, worst times, cricketer-wise, teammate?
So I should start talking about psychology or clinical psych. So the PCA also paid for that, or I'm not sure. I presume it's the PCA, but yeah. So actually, Laura received support when she got her cancer diagnosis. So the PCA paid for that. Also paid for mine. So I actually went in twice. I went in initially around my dad's death, and then subsequently, then Laura had some and I had some. And then also post bereavement. So, I really did access that, make the most of that. It made a big difference. I had a few people that really helped me. I'm very close to one of Brooksy's good friends, Andrew Hodd, who's a wicketkeeper for Yorkshire and Sussex, Ben Brown, who's wicketkeeper for Hampshire. And actually, very good friend of mine, Rory Hamilton Brown, who also Captain Surrey, played for Sussex. Like, he was there, and he would have gone through, as we know about Tom Maynard dying as well. And he was there a lot for me, just sleeping on my sofa, because I only had like a little flat, and obviously the girls had one room, I had the other, and there was no guest room, so poor Rory just robbed on the sofa. But those early days, they're very, very hard, and drunk a bit much and didn't do a whole lot. I was just, as long as the kids were clothed and at school or wherever they were going, like, that was the important thing. Needed to eat, well presented. Probably didn't prioritize myself a lot in those early stages, but I was in therapy. I was turning up every week. The children were doing well. They're well supported. I have to give a little plug to the other charity that I do a bit of work for, Grief Encounter. Like, the children went through there and had play therapy there, which is a huge part of our, getting around the challenges that were thrown at us. There was a lot of people there to support, and there is. I think often in these situations, people do think you're on your own and there's no one else. And that's what's the important thing for me, is to talk about it, because I know as soon as it happened to me, I was immediately looking for people that were in the situation. And, Ruth Strauss died I think just after Laura, but then Andrew Strauss has then done a lot in the media about it. Rio Ferdinand's done a huge amount, which, I listen to a lot. So there is resources for people to tap into to not make them feel as isolated.
Awesome, mate. That's so. Well, yeah, Brunty, you're right. Big hugs for you, mate.
Yeah, just having a moment.
Yeah, that's what we're here for. So with finals, before we move on, finals day for you, that must have extra special impact because it's such an important day to spread awareness about what the trust do as well. Does that come into your mind at all going into this week? Because there's some crucial money to be raised there, isn't there?
Yeah, well, massively. It's funny because the 2021 was all about that as well. And it was hard because they play that first video that I did for the PCA, and I find watching that really hard. I don't like it that much because I don't recognize the person that's there. Like, it's like such a different person to who I am now. And I remember it was playing, and I was like trying to focus on, like, we might go out there, and the guy's got the TV on. It's like me telling my story. And I was like, oh. And actually, I just met Georgie, my new partner. It was all a bit, I wasn't sure about it, but yeah, I'm in a certain different place this time round. Obviously, met Georgie, been with her for 4 years. We have a child together, Amelia, who's 2. And yeah, here to sort of sing the praises of the trust and yeah, talk about the great things that they do. And yeah, if I can help along the way for them to raise a bit more money, it does go to really needy causes. So please do donate, anyone listening.
There you go, the plug, the Cricketers Trust.
Exactly, and
I keep forgetting to say so many names.
Yeah, it has changed over the years. Just on that, with donating, if anyone listening wishes to donate, you can support the Cricketers Trust by donating today. Just get your phone out, text Trust 10 to donate a tenner, or Trust 20 for £20 to 70085. That's 70085, and it will go to a very worthy cause, as you can hear just from Tom's story. There are plenty more out there as well. On to you, Brunty.
Yeah, you were just touching on the video at the PCA Awards, and I don't go to many of those, and I was there for that one. Obviously retired that year, and thought I'd just get smashed and see what happened. And it was a great evening, actually. I had a good time. Not really one for dressing up, but I found that piece, really great. Very emotional. Our table was not stable. Bunch of hormonal girls. Yes, and I couldn't think of anyone better to receive that PCA Outstanding Contribution Award, and it must have been such a special moment for you because the whole room just stood up and
cried,
had a bit of a moment, and yeah, that must have been a bit, wobbly for you too. Did you? What was it like?
It was my first taste of feeling what a heavyweight boxer might feel like when you walk to the ring and everyone's standing up and you kind of get through the crowd.
Knock someone out.
Everyone's cheering. It was
it was, for God's sake, everybody sit down.
I almost wanted to go and sit down and go back up again and experience that again, because you don't get that I don't feel like you get that as a cricketer where you're everyone is focused on you in that moment. So that was really magical. And I think the people had to walk through at the front of the arena were all cricket players, and they were the people I did it for. I didn't do it to win an award or anything. It was something that was really important to me.
Yeah.
That we got in place, thankfully to Vitality for putting the money in. It wouldn't have happened without their support, and for the PCA to realise that this is a worthy cause to put the money in. It was plenty of long evenings, data entry, plenty of dead ends where it just felt like it was never going to happen. But yeah, that walk to the ring was was very special.
I think the players have a lot. Any players listening, ones wanting to be players, actual players, past players. It is on us in a way to champion these sort of things, and not necessarily have to go through something to do something. I think there's things that I'm trying to do now, or have done for the last 20 years, because the women's position's been quite, second, I guess, to everything else. So fighting and not being heard, but then being heard it's so great. It's such a good feeling, and that critical insurance policy they've put in is so good. Like, it's so good, and that's you taking care of all these people that have been gone, here now, and it's great, and we need things like that to keep happening. It's not a one-off. We need everyone, and not all of us will win these battles, but you're the face of showing that it does work with a bit of hard work, dedication, and noise. The PCA ECB will listen and put these things in place, and it's just so important people like you champion that and are passionate about it, because that's what makes the difference. So how does it feel to you to have helped put that in place?
Yeah, I think it's been it was amazing to finally get it there, because I knew I was onto a good thing when no one said no at any point. It was just like, we know it's great, we know it's important, we know there's a gap in our policies that we offer, but we can't afford it. We can't pay for it.
Yeah.
And how is it going to be paid? So initially it was going to be all the players were going to pay for it themselves, but everyone had to say yes. It was really hard to get 500 individuals to say yes. So yeah, I knew it was a good thing. I knew it was important to certainly people connected to me and my, cricketers that were suddenly going, well, have I got the right cover? It just suddenly became a question with everyone. And I was like, well, hopefully we're going to get this, and that will just make a big difference. And we have a life cover that's already provided, so you don't need to worry about that. Well, you do need to worry about it, but you'll have a sum of money through cricket. So yeah, sat here now thinking that there may well be a cricketer, maybe my teammate, maybe one of the women that I've worked with may need to make a claim, and we all know that we bought it in, which it'd be a really nice feeling. It'd be an awful feeling because someone has had to make a claim.
Yeah.
But we'll all know together, the 500 odd players that.
Well, it's
part of that.
You can feel good about the comfort it gives you while you play. That's the main thing.
That's awesome,
Jack?
mate. It's so cool. Yeah, just taking it all in.
Jack is engrossed.
I'm loving this. There's a lot to take in. It's pretty heavy, but it's awesome. So moving on, life's happy. You're good. You like you said, you've tried to move on as well. You've obviously got a lovely new partner, Georgie, and another daughter, just to add to the brood. How supportive has she been? And life must be pretty good now.
Yeah, I think, when I first met her, I knew she was the right person because of how open she was about Laura, and that, that's her career. She's a doctor, she's an obstetrician. So I feel like talking about death was never weird to her. Like, it is her day-to-day job that she may have to tell people with small babies that scans are not quite right or whatever. So I think for her it was quite normal, which was nice, because Laura is such a big part of our day-to-day life. Clara looks exactly like her. Rosie has so many mannerisms like her. So it should never be awkward. Like, we should always be able to talk about her. We do, and that's what makes her so special, so understanding of our situation, but also how now we've grown as a family, and we have Amelia together, but we're just one pack. And we often talk about how Rosie and Clara have two mums. They've had one biological mum that raised them to 1 and 3, and then we have another mum that's now in our family that raises them and looks after them and cares for them. So they're quite special. They have two mums in a way. And yeah, bereavement for them is quite normal. They've been through their therapy of grief encounter, but they're more than happy to say that their mummy died and tell you stories about Laura as much as they tell you stories about Georgie. So quite often the awkwardness comes from, the question asker, not them, which is nice, probably a little bit too, because we talk about not trying to say lost, but about someone who didn't lose mum, like mum died. So quite often they'll go, "Oh, have they died, or is that dead?" But it's quite direct. It's hard for the person who gets that because they're like, "Oh no, they've passed or they've gone," whatever the right word is. But they're very clear on dead, died, that sort of language. But we're really happy, and I think that's something that probably a few years ago I'd have found that hard to say on a podcast, to everyone. But I'm sat here, I'm very happy. Yes, my wife died, but I've met Georgie, and yeah, I've got a smile.
Wicked, that's what we want. We can end on that, Jack. We can go straight to your lovely PCA MVP update.
Excellent. Let's get down to it. Now, PCA MVP update for the men's game. We've now got a change in the top of the Vitality Blast MVP leaderboard.
Hey!
Now, Tom, your teammate, and frankly, an absolute icon of English county cricket, especially the Blast, David Payne, PCA rep David Payne. Bloody good with ball in hand, isn't he? He's now moved above Dan Mousley and looks in a strong position to claim the award now at finals day. How influential, frankly, is he on that team?
Yeah, I mean, Payne's been brilliant. I talked about him earlier, didn't I? The wicket taking in the power play, the death bowling, a little handy with the bat for the odd boundary here and there down the order. But I think it's just his calmness under pressure. I think he's really flourished since, he played his ODI debut. He's played in the Big Bash twice now. He's a fantastic bloke around the team. Very much a Gloucester one club man. And a great leader. He's only playing white ball for us now, which is a bit of a shame because he was a good red ball bowler as well. But yeah, we're very fortunate to have him in the dressing room.
Yeah, legend. I've roomed with him once on a bowling trip for England development bowlers, whatever we were called back then. Back in, he was 19 or 20. Didn't he take like 7 or 8 wickets on his first ever game or something in a white ball game?
I think he got 8 actually. 8. And then there was this weird run out stumped thing that should have got him 9 because he often talks about it. Like the batter's out, the crease, keeper throws it and they deemed him attempting a run when in fact it was just a stumping, but the keeper was back. So yeah, you should get him on and ask him about that.
He's a legend. He'll be a great guest. I love watching him bowl because he never misses, whether it be Yorker, slub, or he swings it late, left arm, naughty little left armer, just a solid bowl. Love watching him bowl. Quick shout out to Joe Root as well, who earlier this week was named the Rothsay England Men's Test Player of the Summer for the 2nd consecutive year. Another award for his mantelpiece. He scored 666 runs, the Devil, across 6 tests and hit 3 centuries, breaking Alistair Cook's record for the most hundreds in the format by an English player. It's only a matter of time before he goes on to break more records, I think, and have most of, if not all of England's test batting records. Proper legend. What's going on in the women's version, please, Brunty?
Well, it's pretty boring this week, Jack, actually. Kirsty Gordon is just remaining at the top of the Rachel Hayhoe Flint Trophy MVP. But the Blaze haven't reached the semi-final, so there's a couple of games there for someone to just overtake, a bit like what's happened to Tom, missing, 7 games in a row. So same could happen. But Katherine Bryce, our Scottish friend and under the lid guest, is going to take some doing to knock her off the overall MVP. So yeah, I honestly hope she gets it because she's an absolute cracker of a person. So yeah, I think we've got a stat.
We've
got a cricket guest stat alert siren enter.
Smithy, know.
Really not lame at all. Go on, Jack.
So, Smithy, you took a list A hat-trick for Gloucestershire v Somerset in 2015. I'm sure you remember it well. Apparently, this was on the day when the new Bristol Pavilion was being opened. You put like a little let forward saying Tom Smith Pavilion, ? Or is it now appropriate to start making noise about getting something named after you at the cricket ground?
But you know what? I'd actually forgotten about that. I was thinking about all the things that, I don't know, you might ask me about anything, and I'd completely forgotten about that hat trick. But yeah, that was quite special, actually. The opening of the new pavilion 40 over game against Somerset. And actually, I've got 2 hat tricks, and both times I didn't know they were hat tricks because I got them on the 5th and 6th of the previous over. And then obviously in one day cricket, it's chaos. Then you get it with the first ball, the next one, which might not even be in consecutive overs, but then it's in that situation, it was consecutive overs. And I got the wicket. It was a nice ball, got Pierce Chowler out. And then James Fuller came in and was like, "Oh, it's a hat trick." And I was like, no, it's not a hat trick. Sort of game face on. And then it won, I think it was over the tannoy, like Tom Smith gets a hat trick. I'm like, "Way!" But he didn't have the opportunity to go nuts once I got it because it was the moment had passed.
You should have had your top off, swinging it round, doing a few laps. Yeah, talking of that hat trick, we had a hat trick guest on last week, didn't we? So we just get great people on here. And seeing as well, you said you were 5th of all time. I think that, let's get to, there's like 4 sides to a cricket ground. We'll just call it 4. If you get to 4th, you can be somewhere in there for sure. I'll make big noise. Right. One of our favourite bits of the show, Under the Lid's big question. I hope you've been teed up for this because we really got let down last week, didn't we?
A little bit.
They weren't prepared. I mean, it could also be you. You might not have done anything, crazy. But is there anything that any of us, most of us, I mean, your close mates might know or family, whatever, about you that no one knows?
This is like, I don't know, going to be awkward because I've probably overthought it.
Oh,
and
no.
I'm like, they asked a question, I need to think about it. So I have 2 things that are random about me, and you can choose which one you want to explore, or maybe both of them. I'm a qualified plumber is my first one.
Nice.
My second one is I could qualify to play for France in cricket.
Oh, oui.
Oh.
Bonjour, monsieur. Were you born over there?
Both a bit random. Didn't do A levels or anything. Did a modern apprenticeship in plumbing, so I've got my level 2. My dad was a plumber, so I worked for him once I left school between sort of 16 and 18, and then I got signed as a cricket player. And then Mum was born in France, lived in France the first sort of 12 years of her life.
French?
So maybe that's her.
Raised?
Well, she can speak French, but she decided not to when she left Paris, and then didn't pass it on to. I'm one of 5. They didn't pass it on to any of us. So
what about the grandparents? Were they French?
Yeah, my granny. Very French.
Whereabouts?
So she actually lived most of her life in England when she came over, but she was from Paris as well.
Paris.
So, yeah. So
tell me,
maybe a career for France in the next World Cup.
You've got a bougie flat in Paris you can go on holiday in. Because we'll have to be mates if you ask.
Yeah.
You can borrow the chalet.
He's never even eaten a croissant, let alone got an apartment in France.
Oh, that would be mint.
Love that.
Right, Jack.
Thanks for that, Smudge. That was
the last round.
Fantastic. Yeah, we've got the last round, which is our famous NAF quiz, which I'm sure you're now trembling with fear over.
I've got good vibes.
Yeah,
he's giving me Badger vibes.
I feel like he's going to be all right, certainly.
Isn't that worse? I'm then going to suddenly
disappoint. Just remember that hat trick v Gloucestershire in 2015. That might come in. You never know.
Just the one thing that.
And is Ravi still the bottom?
Yeah, Ravi's on 3, and Katie George last week we gave her half a point over something, so she got 3.5. So if you can get above 3.5.
Yeah, that's where I want to be, I think. Let's go for 4.
But if you can fly up to 9 to go level with Tammy, or 10, you're out on your own at the top for that £500 voucher. You a golfer?
Yeah, I guess since children I haven't played much, but maybe when they get a bit older I'll get back into it.
Yeah. We'll ask quick. This will be quick fire.
If you don't know it, just cut it off because some people did it. And that's what costs them. So we got 60 seconds. Your runs are on the board. And 3, 2, 1. Let's go. When did Gloucestershire reach their only Blast final?
2020.
Gloucestershire player joined the Trust London to Paris bike ride last year.
James Bracey.
How many 5-wicket hauls have you taken in T20 cricket?
3.
Yep.
Hampshire and which other county have won the Vitality Blast 3 times?
Somerset.
Who has a higher T20 score with a bat, you or me?
Me,
Yes.
Yes. Who was the player of the match for Gloucestershire during the 2015 One Day Cup final?
Jack Taylor.
Yes.
Who was your third dismissal in your hat-trick against Somerset?
Yes, Chowder.
What is your highest score in professional cricket?
84.
Yes.
Who captained Gloucester to 3 white ball trophies in year 2000?
Mike Klinger.
Yes. Which Mohawked England rugby star also hails from Eastbourne?
Don't know. Pass.
Joe Marler.
What used to be Gloucestershire's nickname in limited overs cricket?
Gladiators.
Boom.
Correct.
You flew, mate. I thought you were on for it then. 8. You're in joint second with the big Al, Hannon Dolby, Harry Brook, who had a pig, and Katherine Bryce.
Hey.
Well done, mate. That was awesome.
That is a great effort.
Very good
Luke's
quizzing,
asking
sir.
us if you said Michael Klinger.
Did you say
No,
Klinger or
he didn't
Mark
say.
Lane?
No, I would have said Klinger. That's an error.
Oh,
No.
Panic. Desperate to climb up that leaderboard.
Panic.
I don't think I'll let you finish the question, you see. I should have taken too eager.
Savage. He's dropped you down to 7.
Oh, gutted. Oh, mate. Well,
Right.
that was epic, mate. I'll let you go back to your wonderful London hotel room. Good luck for the rest of the week, and also for next Saturday, but not too much luck because obviously I want Surrey to win. But I hope you have a great day. I hope the PCA raise lots of money with or without your help as well. But mate, tonight's been emotional, insightful, funny, everything that rolled into one, everything what you'd expect with a chat with Tom Smith. So thanks for spending some time, mate, and good luck for the rest of the summer. I hope to catch you soon, bud.
Yes.
Thank you both for having me on. I will listen to the rest of the podcast the rest of the season.
Legend.
Yeah, with the gals. Take care, mate.
What a beaut.
Fantastic. He's a good storyteller, like you said.
Yeah, it definitely makes you put things into perspective, doesn't it? And brings up things to think about that you may have been through yourself as well. I just think it's wonderful what he's done for the game off field and helped grow really important things, which for some reason were never really there, really. But he's a wonderful man, wonderful cricketer, and I hope he plays for a lot longer because he's got to fly up that top 10 list, doesn't he? Keep David Payne honest.
He absolutely has. He needs an end at Gloucester. He deserves one.
He needs something, doesn't he? He's a legend, proper legend. So now we've got some feedback this week. First one from Sandra. Another brilliant episode. I've really enjoyed these and will miss them. So will I. We'll miss seeing Brunty every week. Will there be another series of Under the Lid next season? Could be very interesting, certainly with the women's game. And I also like the idea of just Jack and KSB for the last one. What about Heather Knight as a guest? Well, we'll have to wait and see if we're going to get our contracts offered to us or renewed, or whether it gets we get sacked and never work again.
We get booted.
Secondly, we do have some quality guests lined up for the rest of the series, and there's only, I think, 3 more. We'll have to wait and see if Heather's one of them.
3 or 2, can't remember.
Might only be 2, I can't remember. I can't count to 5. So
we do listen to our listeners, so
we did ask for this, didn't we? We did ask for some guest options. So we'll have to reach into our contacts list and see if Heather's available.
We will. I'll put a good word in. Sandra. Cheers, Sandra. Anyway, Glenn says, Katie George is the best fielder I've seen. And although her bowling figures sometimes look expensive, she's by a long way the best left-arm pace bowler I've seen in women's cricket in the last 2 years. And then Ben also says, she's the best female fielder in the world bar none. Crikey. Only the highest praise.
Well, she is
Katie
good.
George,
you'd know a lot more about the world game than me in terms of other women fielders, but I know she'd be
I think when we had her on the pod last week, I said top 5.
Okay, well that's still
but
bloody
we're
good.
We're talking world.
Yeah.
There's been, I mean, Deandra Dottin had retired by that point. He's literally just come back for the World Cup, so she's in that category. Nat would be up there. Ash Gardner's up there.
Got to say your wife, haven't you?
It's the package, isn't it? It's not necessarily just the hands. It's the athleticism, speed, the commitment, all that. So I agree, Glenn and Ben. She's right up there.
Glenn and Ben, thank you very much.
And in terms of left armers, there's not many, is there?
Well, there isn't many, is there?
So,
no, I was trying to think then, actually, like, there's nothing to do disservice to Katie, but she may well be one of the best in the world because there's not a dearth of them in the women's game, is there? Maybe that's the next thing that's going to come through.
Yeah, they're always good to have.
Right then, let's wrap up. Fantastic feedback for us, by the way. Please, we'd love more of that. And get in touch with us at all the usual ways by using the hashtag under the lid on socials, or you can email us at hello@underthelid.co.uk. Now, very special episode tonight. Again, the Players Charity, the Cricketers Trust needs you. Always would require donations. And a reminder, you can support the trust by donating today. Get out your phone, text Trust 10 to donate 10 or Trust 20 for £20 to 70085. That's 70085. Now, Brunty, enjoy the rest of your week. Keep an eye out for finals day. So we're probably talking about that next week with our guest, whoever it is. And to our listeners, thanks for getting under the lid with us this week. It's been fun. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe, leave a review, tell all your friends. And we'll see you next week with an amazing special guest.
Fantastic. Ciao for now.
Bye.